Okay.
Hi there, welcome to Talk Tottenham, and this is not a drill. We have had a shot on target, not just one, we've had four. We've also won a game, so happy days, and finally a stream that I can do on a Monday, which is a positive stream rather than just negative. Two great guests, possibly a few more coming, but I'll start with Adam. How you doing, Adam?
I'm good. A bit tired after a long day at college, but other than that, I'm happy, and I'm happy to be back here, of course. And I'm relieved, like that we finally got a win. Got like more than one shot on target as well, which is like I'm over the moon about that. It's like we've just won 4 games in a row.
Yeah, yeah. Well, four shots on target, so that's kind of similar. Yeah, Adam's always putting our comments on channels, not just this one, but all sorts of Spurs channels. So appreciate all the support as always. And Sam from Paxton Road TV, back on here after a little time. How you doing, Sam? Thanks so much for coming on.
No problems. Obviously, all good after yesterday's result and the results over the weekend that keeps us in contention for that fourth place. And as you said, after 6 halves of football with no shots on target, we win a game 2-1. Yeah. That's great. And coming from behind as well. So that's the most important thing. You know, Conte showed that he can get these players to at least play 45 minutes of effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's streams are plenty on here. So Sam, for anyone who doesn't know, it's in the description anyway, but for anyone who doesn't know, Paxton Road TV, where can people find that?
Yeah, so find us on YouTube, as the name suggests, Paxton Road TV. Preview shows, reaction shows, Judge Jody, player rating show. Ask Sid any questions on that. And yeah, we're just trying to give as much content as possible regarding the Spurs family. So it's great coming back on this channel again, Chris. And yeah, let's get into it.
It's great having both you guys on. And Adam, quickly, I know you don't have a channel that you own, but you're kind of a semi-regular on a few. And give those a plug.
Yep. Huge shout out. I can give him a huge shout out. Spurs Waging TV, run by Eugene, in Tottenham on tour, run by two legends, Brian Daigle and Brian Ireland, which I'm becoming a regular panelist now from now on, thankfully. So big ups to them. I also make random here and there appearances on Irish Hotspur's channel, and also Premier Hotspur TV. Mustn't forget those lads, Simon and Matt, doing great things as always. So yeah, big up to them, and big up to all the other channels as well that I make appearances on, just in the chat, and the people there are brilliant as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brian Daigle and Mr. K was due to appear on here. Aren't feeling too well, so hope you get better soon, guys. Let's just get into the chats. Craig Bowler, always on here as well in the chats.
Big up, Craig.
Hi, Craig. Scott M, first time on here. Scott, who's a kind of semi-regular on Eugene's channel. How you doing, Scott? And Eugene, the man himself. And talking about Eugene and Spurs Eurasian TV, before we get into it, Adam, you were on there yesterday, so this is your time to gloat because you predicted 2-1.
2-1, yeah. I was one of the only ones that predicted 2-1.
Any gloating you want to do, I'll limit it for 30 seconds, but any gloating you want to do, here's your chance.
No, I don't really have anything to gloat about. I just have, like I said, I'm just relieved. I mean, not only is it like a win, but as Sam was saying, it's a win after falling behind. I don't think we've done that all season. Come from behind to win a game. Even come from behind to draw a game. Even so, or I mean, I'm just happy. Nothing really to gloat about. Though I will say that I was one of the only few that was on the 2-1 train, as I called it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there were a few saying 4, weren't there?
I said 3-1. I was saying 3-1, so almost.
Yeah. But I mean, Sam, I said this is a positive stream, but I've been a Spurs fan for 25 years, so it wouldn't be a Spurs fan without having a little bit of a moan. Why don't we play like that all game like we did in the second half? The first half, absolutely dreadful. I mean, we'll come to Leeds in a little bit. But yeah, completely different in the second half, whether Conte had gave them a rocket, or it was the fans booing, or just the players turning up or Conte making a change. But I mean, I wanted Leeds have conceded a lot of goals, wanted to go at them like a train, see what they're made of, and show they're in for a game. And that obviously didn't happen. We had to wait for the second half. But I can't really complain too much because we did get the win. But is that just Conte trying to get his ideas across, and it's not quite there yet, so it's a little inconsistent, or is it just the players need that kind of fire up that they got presumably at half time?
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons, Chris. I think any time after an international break where we've got a number of international players that went abroad and traveling around, we have to take that into consideration. So again, this is Conte's second game at home in terms of first league game at home anyway. So again, getting your ideas across when half the squad's traveling around the country or traveling around the world, should I say, is not going to be an easy task. Second to that as well, you've got the system. I'm not quite sure if the balance was right in that first half. The gap between the midfield and the forwards was too much. There was no players in between lines. There didn't seem to be, as you said, as much effort in terms of the desire. Leeds were up for it, 100% running around. They looked like they were running more than us, although the stats suggested that we ran a slightly more than them in the first half. But they were getting to things first. Their game plan was man marking, blah, blah, blah. Second half was a complete change. One, obviously, Conte must have got into them at half time. He did make a tactical change in that second half. He went man for man as well. So if you watch that second half, as soon as one of their players, they all had a designated player to go and, press. And that's what's the difference. So we're winning the ball higher up the pitch, winning the ball in areas in the final third and attacking from there. And we literally scored goals. That's what's not happened in the second half of many games. We're not scoring goals in the second half. To score 2 goals was like, wow. I was like, presently surprised, but not surprised, if that makes sense, because I didn't expect Conte to let them get away with that first half performance at home. The fans didn't let him get away with it as well. So I think that whole combination of just that embarrassment fact, he probably said, I don't want to be embarrassed by you players. Go out there and show me, because he made no substitutions at halftime and allowed them to kind of get themselves out of trouble, which they did. So good signs.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it there, Craig. Craig's kind of reiterating that Conte got it tactically wrong in the first half. He admits it in the post-match interview. Another guy, Wayne here, who's always in the chats, not just this stream, but all Spurs chats. How you doing, Wayne? Can someone confirm for me that we did actually have shots on goal, or was I drinking too much? I can confirm, Wayne, as it sounds like both you and Tottenham had shots. And Mr. Spurs, who's on next week, I predicted 2-1, so he's in the gloat train with you, Adam. Spurs front three is the issue. Felt Morva, Son, Kane don't link up. Far too much dribbling from Morva slows the game down. I think, like you said there, Sam, man-to-man marking, that's what Leeds did, so they didn't really give us a sniff. But I thought they all played quite well in that second half, especially.
Definitely. The difference was, Leeds, obviously, they dropped a level. The second half stats, I think when I was looking at it on Sky, we ran about 0.2 kilometers more than them in the first half, but about 3.7 in the second half. That's a telling difference. You can obviously see that the players do have the actual stamina. All this talk about not being fit enough. Well, that second half proves that they are fit enough. It's just whether or not the information that they'd received from the likes of Nuno beforehand was enough to get them to play like that. There is no excuse for effort. We shouldn't have to talk about players running about. Tactics, different matter. Players playing at the talent level abilities, different matter. But effort, that's a given. Running around is a given. There should be no Premiership footballer that should be allowed to get away with walking on a pitch if in a situation that we were losing a game. It's all right if you're winning 3 or 4-0. When you're losing a game, no chance.
No. And Cody here, Adam, I saw you say like that, but not a chance, I'm afraid. You should shave your head in solidarity. I'm assuming that's because you predicted it right. But everyone watching, everyone in the comments, thank you so much. Always appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, really helps the channel. Then go to the description and go on these guys' channels and do the same. But Adam, what did you think of the game? Certainly the second half. I mean, he's brought 3 fitness coaches with him, which I thought you could tell that we looked a lot more fit and we were still running towards the end. Whereas under Nuno, it was like we've run a marathon. We'll get to Reguilon in a bit, but he said pre-match that in terms of the training, because he wasn't on international duty, it's the worst week of his career, which begs the question, what the hell was Nuno doing? And they were so fit under Poch, and the majority of those players are still there, and they've obviously let their fitness levels go down under Jose and Nuno. But do you think that's a sign of things to come? That second half, just into them, pressing, playing higher up the pitch and engaging, like Sam said, man to man. When your man gets the ball, go into him, get the ball. And do you think that will be something that we'll see more and more and more, and then that will become the kind of style of play that we'll become accustomed to under Conte?
Aside of things to come, yeah. Well, the second half was definitely that. But the first half was unfortunately was like a sign of what needs to, like, it was a unfortunate reminder that things are still, like, not going to be fixed at this club overnight. But like second half, like, I mean, first half and second half, let's be real, were like two completely different games. Like Conte, I don't know what Conte said to them at halftime, but I want him to say whatever he said to them before every game now, not just like at halftime. Because I was like, no, but like if we play, I hate to just focus on the first half for a bit, but if we play like that against big teams like the Cities, and I hate to say
Liverpool,
it, but like
they were coming
Chelsea's,
up as well.
Liverpool, yeah, but like Liverpool, exactly, that's coming up. Like if we play like that in the first half, we're not gonna just like go in like just like 1-0 down. We're gonna be like 2 or 3, like so, or like, but like not to worry though, and in the long run, like we should be playing like that for at least like most of the games, like in the near future, like because this is just the Conte effect, as I call it. Like now you could say that it's like even as it's like a manager bounce thing as well. It's like a honeymoon period, but like to be honest, with these group of players, like there is no such thing. Like I mean, these players are either going to play good or they're going to play bad. I don't think a manager bounce is possible. Like, and I think Conte got in at halftime and like just worked his magic on them, and they came out in the second half like all guns blazing, and even like the players, I mean, we all know who they are at this stage that were playing that that had been notoriously bad for us in the past. Even they like had a few good moments. Like, so I was happy to see that from them, and like I hope like we can just 90 minutes from now on at least.
Yeah, I mean, a few more comments here. I'm afraid to say, Adam, that you're the brunt of Bob Spurs jokes this time. All these amazingly beautiful people on one stream, and Adam, big up.
I don't think he's forgiven me for like not answering his question properly the other night, because it was a simple yes or no answer, and I went on for like 10 minutes. I even mentioned freaking meal deals at one stage. I don't know. I had some alcohol in me, so like as you do.
Yeah. That's an excuse. That's all the excuse you need. And Craig Bowler has said here, he also went 3 at the back and played his wing backs really high, stopped us creating any overloading situations, pegged us back when we were deliberately giving up possession as well in the first half. And the second half, the whole team played higher, which we've already kind of mentioned. And a comment here from Simply Ace, how are you doing? It's nice to see other players chip in with goals. Kane and Son are struggling badly. We need more players to chip in with goals. And that brings us on to Kane, Sam. Is he trying too hard to score goals? Obviously, first half, you can ignore that because he didn't really do anything. Although the only chance he had, the pass, was a good run by Son, slightly behind him, which gave Calvin Phillips, I think, the chance to nip in there. But he should have scored when he hit the post. Not like him at all. Usually he's clinical there. And then after we went 2-1 up, he seemed to be trying to score every opportunity rather than pass it, which obviously it doesn't matter now because we won the game. But I think he just needs a couple of goals in the Premier League and consistent playing, attacking football, knowing that he's going to get chances. But do you think he's trying too hard to try and score at this moment in time for Tottenham, whereas for England against pub teams, it comes fairly naturally because there's no pressure at all?
I'm not quite sure, because I don't think he's trying to, because obviously you want players to try hard. You know what I'm saying? I looked at the England games. I didn't really watch them intently, but that was easy. If you think about it, the 2 teams that we played, they were easy teams. I think I could have probably scored a hat-trick against, San Marino. It's what it is. So for us to kind of look at that, the problem I think with Kane is, I think he's trying to prove to the fans that he's still loyal to the club. Now, we've seen the saga throughout the summer. It's been a long, drawn-out saga. He obviously wanted to go. Whether or not that's still the case now, I'm not quite sure. Having Conte in the picture makes a massive difference to, the ability to say we've got a world-class manager in, so you might want to see what this is going to be like. As well as that, he's played a lot of games. He hasn't had much rest. He played all the way through the Euros, got to the final, disappointed, lost on penalties. That's going to take out. He's come back. The saga with all the stuff from Man City happened. It's going to take it out of him. His head's maybe turned. He might not want to play for Spurs anymore. Then he's just literally thrown in, right, Kane, are you still loyal to Spurs or are you just here because of the money or whatever it is he's here for? And there's a lot of pressure on him because he is our main goal scorer. He is the man that's, England captain. He's got a lot to live up to. All those things combined just means that, he's not quite there yet. But what I think is we've got somebody in Conte that knows how to get the best out of a player like him. If you look what happened with Lukaku when he went to Inter, he's brought him through. He's made him the player, I think, what he is now. Currently, obviously, he's not playing for Chelsea at the moment, but you can see the improvements in someone like Lukaku. Kane just has to now learn to play as a number 9 for me. All this dropping back into the number 10 position, trying to do too much. I don't think we need that team to do that. If the balance is right in a team and we can get the wide players creating more opportunities, we need somebody in the box who is a natural goal scorer. Harry Kane's a natural goal scorer. And if he does that, and we do create the chances for him, I think eventually it will come. It is a bit of confidence, but yeah, I just think that we need to see him playing against the likes of better teams now to see if really is it a lack of quality? I don't think it's a lack of quality. Is it a lack of confidence? Well, he scored 7 goals in 2 games for England. Maybe it's just a bit of luck. Just a bit of luck.
I mean, sometimes you need that, don't you, Adam? When it's not working, you need something to just fly off your shin or something like that. Mr. Spurs here's got kind of a different take on what Sam's just said. Kane trying to shoot from outside the box is better than Kane not trying. Also felt Kane never wanted to leave Spurs. Media really tried to push that narrative, which I'm not sure I believe that, where he kind of said as much to Gary Neville.
He wants exactly. To leave. That's, I think.
I reckon
so. He didn't say he didn't come out and say I want to leave. Between the lines, and then the whole lack of training. But I mean, where do you stand on the Kane situation, Adam? In terms of is he trying too hard? Is he trying, like Sam says, to get back in the graces of the fans? Because I personally think he is trying. That Arsenal third goal, you don't give the ball away and then track back 70 yards if you're not bothered. If you're not bothered, it's somebody else's problem when you've made a mistake. What do you see of the Kane situation with regarding to that? And do you think it's just a case of he needs a couple of goals in the Premier League to fly in? But we thought that after Newcastle, and then
exactly, yeah. Well, I don't think he's trying. I think he's trying too hard. I think he is trying to work his way, back into the fans' good books. You can't help but respect that after all that's happened. It was obvious towards the end of Nuno's reign, if you can call it rain. I'd call it a thunderstorm. But anyway, just at the end of that, towards the end, he just looked so devoid of all happy emotions, confidence, joy, or just desire. He looked so devoid of any of it because he knew that he had failed to move to City and now he was stuck in the middle of this mess, a mess that had worsened, not gotten better. Now that Conte is in, he's saying, all right, I'm still in, it's still a mess, to a certain extent, but it's going to get better. It can only get better because of just Conte effect, as I said earlier. So, and also the one thing, why I think that is because yesterday I noticed one thing that had improved hugely since it's under Nuno, and that was his positioning. He actually looked like he knew where he wanted to go, and that not only that, but he wanted to go into those positions. Under Nuno, if you can remember, or even noticed at the time, he was spending a lot of time up on the wings in Moore's position, Son's position, even Reguilon's position, and you're hang on, there's a free area in the middle of the box. Get into that area. But even in the first half, he was in the box. It's just that any shot that he even was thinking or attempting to take, he had two Leeds defenders out in front of him, and all they had to do was stick their legs out, and the ball went away. Yeah, but baby steps at this point, to be honest. But I don't really mind as long as Kane starts scoring again at some stage, because I noticed yesterday, even though I'm not complaining the fact we scored 2 goals, neither of those 2 goals came from our forward line.
No. Well, the second one kind of did, because Kane had put the ball down and then left, so he kind of placed the ball for Eric Dyer. So clutching at straws. But yeah, in terms of Craig Bowlers here said the average player positions for both halves show Son further forward than Kane. He's dropping slightly deeper to get involved. There's not many crosses coming in, which, Sam, that kind of goes to what Adam was saying with the lack of crosses coming in. But then that brings us nicely onto these 2 guys, our wing backs, who in the second half I thought were superb, getting forward, Reguilon has obviously scored, but getting forward, putting crosses in, which we didn't see at all in that first half. So do you think the goals will come for the Suns, the Kanes, the Moras, or whoever plays up there, if those wing-backs are allowed to do what they did in the second half, come forward and then create our width and the crosses, and then we've got another string to our attacking bow? Because under Nuno, it was almost like he didn't know what attack was. I don't know why he celebrated goals, because he doesn't seem to appreciate the fact that you need to score goals to win games. But yeah, do you think the wing-backs will then create the more chances, and they'll be a key feature of our play going forward to allow the Suns, the Kanes to get back to doing what Kane and Son do?
100%. Just, I was just going to say, apologies if it's got a slight delay on this, so I'm gonna, if it cuts off, I might have to come back on. But just with regards to the wing back, so you mentioned about the wing back, that's where a lot of our attacking intent is going to come from. The 3-5-2, the 3-4. Okay. Let me come out and come back in if that's.
Yeah, that's fine.
In the meantime.
Yeah, in the meantime, Mr. Spurs is basically saying what I've said for about 2 years now. We need an Eriksen-type player who can find the wing-backs with quick passing out wide. Amen to that. Absolutely. I don't understand why we didn't place him. But, while Sam logs off and comes back on, what do you think about the wing-backs? Do you think that will be a key part of our play going forward, and that's where a lot of our attacking play will come from?
No, with the way Conte is setting out his formation, it looks like that he knows that this could be in an area that could be significant in any attacking play. I mean, Reguilon's crosses are already pretty good, I think, but they just need a few tweaks, and he needs to get slightly closer to the box if that makes any sense. And also Kane, now that his positioning is better, and he's getting into the box now. He's one of the tallest players on the pitch still, I think, and he can just head the ball in. I highly doubt no goals will come from this attack, or from this new way of playing, because Conte is setting out his formation, he has the traditional wing backs, or Ben Davis and all that, but then he has the wing backs Reguilon, or the other way around. I think I have the memory of a goldfish, but if you get what I'm saying, Reguilon could make an impact there. Or fix the issue, Sam.
Yeah. Hi, Sam.
And on the right as well, sorry, Chris, but on the right as well, can't forget Royale. I thought, Royale was one of the two good players, not good, but half decent players in that first half. He was.
For me.
Maya.
Is your internet still cutting out? Yeah, there's something going wrong with. Maybe it's my internet, but.
I hope he can fix the problem, soon enough.
Yeah. It looks like he's disconnected. What happens if I take him out and then put him back in? Okay.
Not lot, sadly.
Hopefully he can get his internet back, and then we'll get his thoughts on the wing back situation. Hopefully when he does come back. But Wayne Bonner said if we get an Eriksen type player, that will stop Kane dropping deep, which is exactly the reason why he's dropping deep, because there's no one to do that job. And Craig says pretty much similar to what you've said. Crosses aren't good enough. Emerson hasn't impressed me with his crosses, and Reggie needs to improve as well. That's where our creativity is supposed to come from. But I guess under Nuno, if you're not attacking at all, or you're not getting crosses in, it's going to take a little time. And presumably, therefore, in training, you're not really focusing on crosses or getting forward. When it comes to that opportunity in games, you are going to be a little rusty because you're not used to doing it. Whereas if you're constantly putting crosses in, like David Beckham did, 10 crosses a game, then you're going to get that kind of muscle memory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Spurs
that's the way they've been playing.
Yeah, if you're on Instagram.
What's my username? Is it? Yep. Sorry.
I'll try and find it. I'll try and find you at some point, and then send it over to Mr. Spurs.
Nice.
Unless you.
I'll tell you it in the back room.
Yeah.
Good luck, Mr. Spurs. Anyway.
Yeah, and with Emerson, Region playing as wing backs, not only will they have the chance to create goals, but also get into scoring positions like yesterday. And that brings us to that goal by Region. I mean, he's had his critics defensively. He's not the greatest, but I think 3 at the back with a Højbjerg there, it gives the security and the not the safety, but the confidence that if I do lose the ball going and I'm forward, there's people back there rather than just 2 at the back. But his goal yesterday, if you watch that, when Dyer took the free kick, he was on the edge of the box and he's the only one running. He's basically made a straight run into the goal in the hope that what happened did happen. That's like a striker, poacher kind of mentality, that, isn't it? But I'm delighted for him. I think he's been brilliant going forward. Obviously, under Nuno, he never had the chance to go forward because Nuno decided that he didn't want to go forward. But I think he can flourish under Conte. He can become like the Victor Moses did. You know, Victor Moses became one of the best wing backs in the world, certainly in the Premier League under Conte. I think Region could do the same. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of his performance yesterday overall?
Well, much like most of the squad, like second half, he improved massively. I was over the moon for him, getting that goal. Isn't that like his first goal all for us as well? If I'm not mistaken, I know if it's not, yeah. Well deserved, because as you were saying, under Nuno, he was so obvious he wanted to go up front, but obviously it was it showed that he wasn't trained how to go up front properly, and no, he was just making up as he went along. Here under Conte, you can at least kind of see a plan, and you can see that Conte said, right, this is how you do this, so go off and do it. Now, obviously, like you said, it's going to take time for the players, including him, to adapt fully to this. But once he fully gets his head wrapped around it, I'm expected maybe not more goals, because at the end of the day he is a left wing back, but definitely a fair few assists.
Yeah, I think Bob here said Region mentioned Conte wants him to have a striker's mentality within the last third. Definitely think we'll see more from him. Much improvement still needed. But I mean, if that's true, then he's definitely taken that on board, because that was a poacher's mentality, just running into the goal in the hope that there's a rebound or parry from the goalkeeper or anything that he can mop up the pieces. But yeah, I definitely think the wing backs will have a huge part to play in this Conte system. But yeah, and I mean, let's talk about someone who really is a kind of bone of contention
of the hour.
Fans. I mean, you get players that are like Marmite, and I don't think I've seen any for Spurs quite so much like Winks. Some love him, some hate him. There's no one really in between that goes, he's all right. He gave the ball away certainly in the first half, but then I think that's slightly unfair to criticise him for that, because you could then criticise literally everybody for that. But he plays some good passes going forward. It's just consistency, and I think he's one of these players that needs to be playing every week. Under Pochettino, it was always, I think, you're my guy. If you're fit, you're playing. And then you get the best out of him. And obviously it helps when you have more of the ball, because that he just keeps the ball. It's all side to side. It's very similar to what Skip kind of does. But yeah, it's Hi Sam, how you doing?
I'm going to try again. I've done the old reset thing, so hopefully that will be it now.
Well, you're not freezing up or anything, but yeah, we've just spoken about the wing back. So we were speaking about Winks, but we'll come back to him. But in terms of the wing backs, what's your view on them? And in terms of going forward and how we'll fare with those?
So I think both the wing backs, if we're looking at the first choice, and I think we probably can agree that Region's probably going to be the first choice at left wing back, and Emerson at the moment looks like his first choice at right wing back. Both those two are better going forward than they are defensively. So the system should suit them better. I think we're going to see more of an improvement from Region in terms of, when he was at Villarreal, he looked like a real player. You know what I mean? And I think we've seen it in Spurs. Definitely going forward is his thing. And I think both of them, what I've seen, and even in the left centre-back area with Ben Davies, both those two on that side were both getting into the box at times, which is really good to see. So I think it spells good things. We are going to have most of our creation at this moment in time from those areas, from the right wing back, from the left wing back. And it's good to see that both those were heavily attacking and they were getting into the box. Let's just hope that I think the final ball in the final third has been terrible for us over the last few games anyway, and in general this season. So once they start improving that final ball, the crossing needs to improve better, creating those opportunities for Harry Kane, for Son, for players that are in the box, then I think we're going to see a marked change. The thing as well is Conte is known for improving players in that position. You look at Victor Moses, he wasn't even a wing back, played that position really well. And I really think that, if coached well, if they listen, and if we can continue with playing in those areas, and I want to say that because sometimes we don't always play in those wide areas. We try and go through the middle of the teams. Lucas Moura comes inside, tries to run through the middle, use the width. That's what it's designed for when you play that system. And I think they'll both improve. So yeah, I'm very confident going forward that we will see, players improving. The only downside to the wing backs is who comes in if they're injured. I know Sessegnon.
I think we've got good. Sessegnon isn't a fullback; he's a wing back. If he can stay fit, I think he'll push Reguilon because he's quick. He likes to go forward. And Doherty made his name at Wolves as a wing back. We've obviously brought him in and played him in a not completely different position, but there is a lot of difference between a fullback and a wing back. So I think we've got good strength in depth there. And then obviously Tanganga, if and Davies, if things go sour, they can step in as well if those four are injured. I think we've got good strength in depth there and good competition for places.
I'm not quite sure that Doherty is going to be the player that we think he is. I think his confidence has been shot. I don't think I sometimes think with players who you see that do really well at another club and come in and think they're going to do that. I just think the pressure at Tottenham is a lot different than the pressure at Wolves. Some players cope well, some players don't. He looks like the sort of player I don't think is going to cope too well with being in the limelight, being high profile. And Sessegnon, again, is a similar type player. When he was at Fulham, fantastic. Comes to Spurs, again, is it a step up too much for him personality-wise? I'm not sure he can cope. But he's young. Doherty, he's not so young. I don't think we're going to get the best out of him. I think we need to look in that area on that right-hand side because I don't think Tanganga is a wing-back. I don't think he's attacking enough to be a wing-back. Very good defender and right-side centre-back, I think, will be an ideal position for him. But wing-back, I just don't think he's got the attacking intent. I also believe that, he's a bit too safe. With a wing-back, you've got to really get both of them forward. And you need to be almost a natural winger as opposed to a natural fullback, which I think Tanganga is more so. So I do think we need a little bit more on the right-hand side, definitely. And the left-hand side, we can probably get away with it.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think Tanganga did, Adam? I completely forgot about him. Sorry, Jaffe, I do apologise. But he could have very easily put Sanchez in there. Obviously, Romero's injured. But, how do you think Tanganga... He obviously came off, it was about 70 minutes he came off for Sanchez, maybe a bit later.
Yeah.
But I didn't really notice him, to be honest, which I think for a central defender, not noticing them isn't a bad thing. Because they just do their job, get on with it, and then it goes to whoever else. But, I mean, has he given Conte something to think about when Romero comes back or even with Dyer and Davies there?
Well, it's like you said, if he didn't do an awful lot, then Conte's probably not thinking much at the moment, unfortunately. But I reckon, you know what, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I reckon, like if Conte plays him in the Conference League this week or, whenever we're playing more, then... and he'll have a better chance to shine. Tanganga, this is the first time he's been in the squad since I think he got red carded. I think he should have been in the squad a lot earlier than that. So I don't think it was fair that he was dropped just because he lost the head, and showed some passion. But I mean, it wasn't the best performance from him. But like you said there, Chris. If you're not noticing him a lot, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it means he's doing his job. But at the same time, I'm I didn't really notice him, but he didn't do much. But you could also say maybe he didn't need to do that much, because especially in the second half, Leeds just we were playing Leeds off the park, up until we got the second goal. Then we dropped off a bit, but we still held out and won the game, but also when you're being subbed off for Sanchez, you haven't had the greatest game of your life. I'm not saying Sanchez is on the level of a Wings or Davis, but
So I'll ask that question, Adam. Do you not think that Sanchez, because I'm notorious for being on Sanchez's case as of the last season. I've given him grief. I don't think he's good enough. Blah 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 blah. However, because he's young, because he's come from an Ajax system where they have a technically good setup. He looks like he's one of the players that looks a little bit better under Conte. Now I know we haven't seen that much of him, but do you not think that he might be a better proposition going forward than Tanganga is at right-sided centre back, if indeed that's where he plays?
Yeah, Sanchez has just about has more experience than Tanganga, so I reckon they're going to fight it out for that spot next to Romero if Dyer gets worse. But I'm I honestly don't have an answer for that. Probably because I'm maybe too ignorant, or maybe too inexperienced, to know about defenders. But I mean, I've never really had much hope for Sanchez like yourself, Sam. And don't get me wrong, I hope he improves. I think it's good that there's competition in the team. But as long as there's a player in beside Romero, and as long as there's two doing the job, as long as there's two solid defenders there, I'm happy out. Whether it's Tanganga, whether it's Sanchez, I felt like under Nuno we all had our favorite players, because the half decent ones outshone the crap ones so much. Or maybe I'm wording that wrong, maybe. Or you could say the crap ones were really, really bad, and the good ones were really, really good, if that makes any sense. And so I think Sanchez was one of those players. But under Conte, with the way he trains the players, with the way he gets them to play better, I think we'll see Tanganga should be looking over his shoulders, almost in that regard.
Yeah, I look at Sanchez and a player that, because of his age, because of his attributes, he's certainly got the pace. He's certainly got the strength. He proved in that game, I think it was the game against, who was it? When he wrapped up his head and he came back on, he had cut his head and he looked like he just made the effort. It's either against Everton or against Vitesse, one of the two. But he looked like a player that has almost got a new lease of life. And because of his attributes, I thought he was gone. I thought we'd never see anything of him. Positional sense was terrible. But this is one area where I think coaching can improve you defensively, because it's a lot easier to coach defensive football than it is attacking football. Attacking football needs to be fluid. It needs to be off the cuff. It needs sometimes to be, players doing certain things. Defensively, you get a shape. You can be solid. There's certain positional sense that you need to be in. That was where his game was terrible. Positional sense. He's always getting caught out of position because he'd be chasing players. I think there's been a little bit of a sea change. Playing in a back three gives him more of a license to be able to make that mistake because you've got two other centre backs there. But I think he's coachable. That's one thing I wasn't quite sure under Nuno, whether Nuno was able to coach. Conte 100% will improve defenders if they listen. Ben Davies is a prime example already.
I mean, Craig has said that Sanchez looked better than Tanganga when he came on. I think that's slightly unfair in the sense that, like we said earlier, that we were further up, we were more engaging. So Sanchez got involved in the game more because he was making tackles, because the play was to get in. But I really like Sanchez. I've defended him for years. I think he's got, like you said, Sam, everything: pace, power. The thing you mentioned where he wrapped his head up and stayed on. He's obviously a warrior. And he is still young, and I really like him. But then I really like Tanganga as well. In terms of the wing backs, as well, like this guy Stevie B, he could do a job as a wing back. That was something on a lot of streams when Nuno came in. Bergwijn was one of the names on people's lips as could be a wing back. But his work rate is unbelievable. He's probably one of the only players at the club who didn't really need any of Conte's fitness coaches, because he's got a brilliant engine.
The only thing I would say about Stevie B as a wing back, he looks. I know he played. That's a point now, because he seems to play on the right for the Dutch. But he seems to have been playing from the left when he's playing at Spurs. He's right-footed. I just think you have to be right-sided on the right-hand side as a wing-back, and left-footed, left-sided on the other side. I think inverted wingers don't make inverted fullbacks or wing-backs, if that makes sense. So I think he's got all the attributes to be a really, really fantastic wing-back. It's whether or not he wants to be that wing-back. Is he prepared to...
I think he would. If Conte said, I want you to play here, he'd put his all into it. And like you said with Sanchez, he's also young, so I think he's coachable as well.
He is definitely coachable. And I agree with you. I think if he does listen to someone like Conte, well, who wouldn't? The guy's won 5 league titles in 7 years. You've got to listen to him. He demands that respect. So there's no way that he's going to say, I don't think you know what you're talking about. when he's got evidence to prove that he improves players from wingers into wing backs. So it's all there for him. His skill set, again, coming from the Dutch league, talent level wise, is second to none. They are really, really good at schooling players talent wise. So we've seen that he's got all the ability. It needs to click. He's another one that I think his personality needs to just be a little bit bigger. He needs to be a bigger character, bigger personality. If he can get that out of him, I really think we've got a real player that has versatility as just a forward, but also, you said, defensively as well.
Yeah, and another couple of comments. Craig said, we did ride our luck a little bit. Højbjerg scuffed his shot. Free kick was lucky to come off the post. Maybe we create our own luck, but we could have been down more than 1-0 in the first half. Fortune favours the brave, though. That's why we weren't scoring any goals, because we weren't trying to be brave. And Darryl, I mean, this is a positive stream, Darryl. This team is dead. Needs a heart transplant in January, never mind the summer.
I mean, to be fair to you, Darren,
that's what Spurs do to you. That's what Spurs do to you. Win a game,
yeah, exactly.
And still, But let's talk about Craig's comment where we could have been down by a lot more before we come on to Winks. But Adam, did Leeds miss a trick in that first half? We obviously weren't at the races. They were. They only scored one. I mean, did they miss a trick there by not really going for it? You can sense. I mean, I'm sure you two will both agree, watching Spurs for however long, that certainly in the last 5 years, you can tell in the first 5 minutes what kind of Spurs have turned up in that half. So surely a manager and team who are scouting and watching game after game of the opposition can tell. So do you think, Adam, that Leeds really should have gone for the throat in that first half and made sure they were more than 1-0 up in the second half time? Because as we know, 1-0 is never a big enough lead.
Well, if I was a Leeds fan, I'd be saying exactly that. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm glad they didn't. Let's just say that. Yeah, I think Leeds missed about one or two tricks, to be honest. Like one being that they didn't go up forward, and take us on enough times. When they did, they looked dangerous enough, and they could actually string two passes together at the time. And we weren't able to even we were barely being able to do that. And with the long balls and all that stuff, it was like a repeat under Nuno, to be honest. But look, I mean, Conte worked his magic in at half time, like I said, and we sorted it out. But Leeds, not only did they not go take us on enough because maybe they were wary of us, especially our defending. Actually, up until the goal, I thought our defending was pretty decent. I mean, the defenders seemed to be doing their job. It was the midfield and the lack of attacking that was really holding us back. But another thing Leeds missed was their final product, as I call it. I mean, my God, some of the shots they took were shocking. I remember one point in the first half, they were just outside the box, or maybe even just inside it. They played it perfectly to one player. Yeah, he took a shot, and I swear to God, if this was Gaelic football, he would have soared how high it soared over the bar. He would have got a point, or even Gaelic football, he would have gone wide of the bar, I mean, he's not, but he wasn't playing in that, he was playing in English football, so. I mean, it was when I saw that shot go over the bar as high as it, I was suddenly I kind of sat back in my chair, but saying, "Oh, okay, fair enough. These guys are not going to score more than one goal against us."
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Spurs here has said Leeds weren't good enough up front. In truth, they weren't lost of good chances. Also felt Leeds looked good due to how bad Spurs were. I mean, in terms of that, Sam, in terms of they weren't good enough up front, if you lose Rafinha for a game, you're going to struggle somewhere along the line. If you don't have Bamford up front, you're going to struggle for scoring goals. I thought Gerhard looked quite good, certainly in the second half. But in terms of the first half, that was where they could have won it. Gerhard had a few chances in the second half, as did James, but they were all kind of speculative efforts that if they were on target, you'd expect Lloris to save. What's happened to Leeds for you? I know this isn't a Leeds stream, but what's happened to Leeds for you? Is it just the injuries? Is it just teams have figured out how to play them? And do you think they missed a trick in that first half?
Let's put this into context. If they had their full selection of players out, Rodrigo also was missing today. Rodrigo was missing. They had Bamford missing. They had Rafinha missing.
Ayling at the back is out.
Ayling missing. Did Klich play? I wasn't quite sure if he was in the team as well.
I can't remember if I heard him or not. Yeah.
I don't think I did. So there's 4 or 5 players there that on another day would be in that first 11. But They have been in the first 11 in the season, and they're 17th. So there is a reason why, they are where they are. They obviously can't take their chances. I do believe, though, that they had a good opportunity to get more than one goal in that first half. There was a good save by Lloris, which kind of tipped one round the post from James, who kind of like stabbed it towards goal. If that had gone in 2-0, I'm not sure we'd have come back to win the game. Possibly a draw, but to win it, I'm not so sure. To answer your question, though, did they miss a trick? I'm not sure they missed a trick. I just don't know if they had the players in that team on Sunday to be able to capitalise on the opportunities that they did create. But had they had Rafinha, had they had Bamford, had they had Rodrigo, would have been a different thing. I believe that they possibly would have gone in a couple of goals up. They need to sort that out. Teams have worked them out to a degree. They are less on their running stats, so there is definitely that aspect to it. Leeds were known the last season as the team that run the most, and they had to do it. Once you start dropping off your numbers like that, if you don't have the talent to go with that level of effort, you're always going to get found out. They had the most talented players out, so it was always going to be a little bit more difficult playing against us at our home ground. I would have expected us to start like how Leeds had started. So all that combination, because of where they are, because they've only scored 12 goals a season in the league. I know we've only scored 11, but they're not high scorers. It was going to be a bit of a challenge. But had they got 2 goals, I think they would have probably at least got a draw out of that game yesterday.
Yeah, I think if you didn't know where Spurs were in the league and Leeds were in the league, I think when we scored our first goal, I think you could tell where Leeds were because they completely dropped. I don't think they had a chance after that, really.
No, they didn't.
It was very, very speculative ones. And I never say it at the time because you can't tempt fate. I've done it before and we lost the game. But there was only one winner in that game. There was only one team who were really going for the throat. So it should be. So it should be for a team at home, for a team that's got Antonio Conte as a manager, for the talent that we've got in our squad. Do you know what I mean? We had players on the bench that could have still come on. We had the likes of Tanguy to come on if necessary. I know we saw Dele Alli. Potentially, that's a bit of an argumentative point there for some people with regards to that. But there's still options there. There's still options there to bring on. Whereas Leeds only had youngsters on the bench. They weren't ever going to be able to change the game for the better. We had that opportunity. But we did what we should have done in the first half and did what we did. Yeah. I mean, Darryl here said we never control a game. It's a grind from week to week, and we knew that, right? Which that comes from a lack of playmaker, but it also comes from what Conte has said in the past. And like you said, Sam, the way we're going to attack teams, maybe it will change in January, but is the fullbacks, and that comes from him saying, winners find solutions, losers find excuses. So he's obviously finding a way that we can attack teams. But in terms of that midfield, we'll come on to a player that nobody likes, seemingly. Nobody likes him. They either love him or they hate him. And that's Harry Winks. I love Harry Winks just because I've got a soft
spot. That's too strong, Chris. Come on now. Let's not use words like love for Harry Winks. That's a bit strong for my liking. Sorry.
But he's a Spurs fan, and he obviously has been great for us in the past. So I've always got a little bit of a soft spot. But I say love, but I am losing kind of patience for him because he comes in, doesn't really do anything. The first half, Adam, he gave the ball away a few times, but then you can throw that accusation and criticism at any number of players. Second half, though, he made a few good passes. He didn't really do anything. I always thought under Jose, he was always going to struggle because he needs to have the ball. He passes it side to side and keeps the ball. Dembele did that quite a lot, but obviously Dembele shoved 2 players off and then passed it sideways further up the pitch. But what did you think of his performance under Conte? Do you think he can revive his career, or do you think he needs to go on loan or be sold, not just for us, but for his sake, if anything? And I mean, Supliace has said he's the best sideways and backward passer in the game. There is a place for that. Obviously, keeping the ball is an important part of football. And he obviously does it a lot. We don't have that much of the ball, so generally when he has the ball, it's always backwards. But he did play a few nice passes going forward, and he was involved in the first goal. Obviously, didn't get an assist or anything like that, but it was his sideways pass that then I think got through to Reguilon after another pass. But yeah, what did you think of him, and can he revive his career under Conte? I'm assuming
look,
by your comment after my comment, you're on the hate side of the camp.
I'm not going to minute. Like I was on the hate. Yeah, yesterday. I've always been on. No, not always, obviously. Yeah, but like for the past, like I don't know, year, I think at this stage, maybe even a bit more than that, I've been on the hate side of Winks, and just because he like, in my opinion, he's just been like so bad. Like, like Skip came in. Yeah, he's younger than him like by a few years, I think. If like, I mean, like you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I mean, when Skip came in, instantly I thought, yeah, that's better. Like that's much better. And but the way Skip played, even like under Nuno, like he was just doing so much better than Winks ever could. But under Conte, and I'm gonna sound, and like I know, like I'm sounding like a broken record here. Like I think the Conte effect will happen on most, not all the players in the squad. Like I mean, like obviously you could argue that maybe Ali won't feel it. Yeah, like, but you never know. Wings did. I'm going to give Wings the benefit of the doubt, like, as I feel like a lot of fans have been jumping on a bandwagon, just being like so harsh on him, like and other a few players, like those people in fairness have been a minority, like, and a lot of I think the criticisms of Winks, Inks, and the others have been like mostly justified. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like he did do a few good things yesterday, and I was happy for him. I mean, if you even like Ali, like if you put on that shot, I will back you like for the 90 minutes. And it's like, and then afterwards, I'll like say whether you were crap, like whether you were great or like half decent or something. I'm thinking, we are gonna cross that bridge when it comes to it. Like, but yeah, I still don't think Wink should be like a permanent starter. But like you mentioned earlier, I think Chris, like, how do we know what he's going to be truly like under Conte if he doesn't get game time in? And like, I mean, whether we like it or not, now if Winks is going to start a Premier League game, then you can guarantee almost that he's going to start a Conference League game like against Moore or something. Something like so. Like, I mean, we're just going to.
That's where if he plays that's where he's got to show Conte what he's made of. That's exactly, where he's going to try and control the game to then say to Conte, yeah, maybe I can try and fit him in. But if he doesn't control the game against someone like a Moore or Pacos,
yeah,
that's all he's going to be, a Conference League and a early cup bound player.
Yeah. But, another question you raised was should he go out on loan or be sold to another club? Like, not just but like, I mean, mostly for his sake, to be honest, because his career is like in the mud now. Yeah. But now, like, I think maybe he should chance going out on loan at least. Maybe not at sold, like, because I'd like to see what Conte does to him. So like maybe on loan to like Championship club. I don't know. Work for Skip. But Skip
I think he's better than the Championship club. It's someone like maybe not a Burnley because they're quite low, but like a mid-table Premiership club. I can't think of mid-table, but I've got a few comments in here. Winks is a nice guy, says Mr. Spurs. Does as he's told. He's safe. He won't try forward passes. I do think he tried a few yesterday. I do think Winks plays where he plays due to being safe and not wanting to attack. I'm not sure. Craig has said he's a part exchange deal for Ward-Prowse. That would be the best thing he'd ever done for our club. I mean, that's slightly harsh. Harsh.
Well, I'm almost in agreement with that.
And Darryl Denton, Winks ain't what we need. We need better, but we've had worse. And Wayne Bonner, he's a new Vinny Samways. I honestly thought, Wayne, when you said that and I saw that come up, I honestly thought you were going to say he's a new Vinny Sideways. That's honestly what I thought, and I read it. But Sam, where do you stand on the Winks situation?
Harry Winks, number 8. I'm going to refer to him as number 8. I've referred to him as number 8 for a long time now. He then got me back calling him by his name, Winks. But, right, okay, let me try and do a little bit of defense for him. Winks is going to be he's good. No, not very good. He's going to be better in a team that controls possession. When I say that, upwards of 55, 60%. If you, over the last 18 months, 2 years, we haven't been a possession-based team. Even under Jose, we're more counter-attacking. When you're that and you don't control the game, you're going to have less opportunities, you're going to have less opportunities to look good. What I mean by that is if you're getting the ball lots and lots and lots, it doesn't matter if you give it away 2 or 3 times if you're making 50, 60, 70, 80 passes. When you haven't got the ball much and you give it away 3 or 4 times within 10 passes, it makes you look worse than you are. So the fact that we don't control games from a possession fact doesn't help his game. However, he hasn't helped himself by playing against teams where you think, right, we should be controlling. Even in the ECL games, he's not looked like a world beater against Farmers, or against pub people, because that's what they are in that league. I know Vitesse are definitely a little bit better than probably San Marino are, but they're still not that great. Nor are NS Mura. So if you can't control the game and look forward in that sense, then I'm not sure how he's going to develop in this sense, because we already know the reason why he was in the team yesterday was because there was no Skip. If we're thinking about it, we might be looking to get Kessie in January, potentially. There's people are going to be coming in. He's going to get even less and less opportunities. Now, he might, under Conte, if we start controlling games possession-wise, look better. But I think for the sake of his career, there's two players at Spurs I think need to go. Even if they were to be improved by Conte, I think they need to go to improve their career. Dele Alli is one, Harry Winks is the other. I just think they've been there too long now. They haven't taken their opportunities and been given to them by several managers now. You know, several managers have been in, and I'm talking about Ryan Mason, I'm talking about, Jose Mourinho, and now I'm talking about Antonio Conte. I just think it's time to move them on such that we can bring in new talent, such that we can bring in a new mindset of players. Harry Winks is not going to get an opportunity in a 3-4-3. I just don't think he's going to make it at Spurs anymore. So a team that has possession, someone like Norwich in the Championship, perfect for him. Perfect.
Yeah. Do you think it was a kind of not a test by Conte, but obviously Skip was out. He could have easily played Ndombele there. He could have easily played Dele there. And he said to Harry Winks, "You're in." Do you think it was a kind of, I'm picking you out of you're the number one out of the three. Show me what you can do. Regardless of how he played, do you think it was a kind of show me what you can do from Conte, or do you think it was just Conte thought he was the best, the nearest to Skip in how he played?
There's no other. Right, okay. So I think Ndombele, I think we all can kind of see he needs, and Conte said it himself, he needs more work than the others. The talent is there, fantastic. But what is Ndombele? Is he part of a midfield two? I'm not quite sure at this stage, because we've seen him playing a two. Maybe hasn't quite got the discipline to do that. I think his best position would be slightly in front and with the ability to kind of play a free role. We don't got anybody else in midfield. So you take Skip out, you can't play on Dembele. The Celso was injured anyway. Unless you're going to put Eric Dyer back in the midfield, we're lacking in midfielders. Number 6 is number 8. Harry Winks has had an opportunity on a number of occasions, as I said, under a number of managers, to show us, right. I've not seen him in the last 2 to 3 years take a game by the scruff of the neck and do this. Just, we've seen other players do it. I know Højbjerg, and don't get it twisted, Højbjerg wasn't much better than him yesterday. I think they were probably on a bit of an even par, but Højbjerg got the goal. And Højbjerg has played 50 games in a row for Spurs. Let's not forget it. 50 games.
50.
50.
And
played maximum. That's all minutes.
And he played one less game in the Euros than Harry Kane, just because they didn't get to the final, and he played pretty much
every game,
every minute. And he had to deal with the Christian Eriksen situation as well, which mentally must have been a huge strain.
That's a good point.
So every minute of every game for the last 50 games, Højbjerg's played. So I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the odd game where he's not firing. He hasn't fired on all cylinders this season. But if you think about it, a lot of the players that played deep into the Euros haven't. Sterling hasn't. Maguire certainly hasn't. Luke Shaw hasn't. Harry Kane hasn't. All these players that have played a long season from last season going into this season and then expected to perform this season haven't quite cut it. There's maybe a couple of outliers in there. Harry Winks didn't go on international duty. He had 2 weeks with Antonio Conte. And that's what we saw. Not much better than Højbjerg, who's been playing all over the world, who's played 50 games in a row, every single minute of those 50 games. Come on. I can't give him any more. He's had an opportunity. Home game against the Leeds team, which you clearly know how they're going to play. He needs to do more for me. He needs to do more. And I think for his career, maybe it's better time he moves on now.
Yeah, and Adam, we got a comment from Mr. Spurs again, which another player who seems to be... I don't like him. I either love him or hate him. And I'm sure you can guess who. That's Dele. First 3 games, he played at number 8. He was the best player in those 3 games. I'm not sure he was the best player, but he certainly looked like he was...
He certainly looked like 17?
What was he... Mr. Spurs, what were you watching? for Dele Alli to be the best three. I don't know what games they watch.
In defence to Mr. Spurs, he did definitely look like he was trying more because he was running about a lot more. But then that doesn't necessarily mean
that's not
playing well.
We can't give that as an excuse for professional footballers.
Yeah.
Professional footballers, if you're telling me that we're going to say because he's run around more, that makes him... Nah. That's standard. That's a given. That's a given.
But Adam, his question here, Mr. Spurs, do you think Dele can be trained into a box-to-box midfielder? What do you think about that? For me, I think Dele's head is, I don't care about football anymore. I've got sponsorship deals, I've got Fortnite, I've got all of this. I'm not that bothered about football. I've made my money, which is a real shame because, like you said, 16, 17, he was one of the first with Kane in that England team sheet. But do you think he can be retrained? Do you think he'll respond to Conte? But if the documentary was right and wasn't edited when Mourinho said you're a shit trainer and he laughed, if he does that with Conte, Conte's likely to run across the room and strangle him. And it's not going to fly with Conte. But do you think he can be retrained or do you think his head's gone?
I don't think so, man. I think his head is gone. Like, I mean, you just nailed on the head absolutely perfectly. Like his ego is just getting in the way of everything. Like, did you hear like what apparently he said? This could just be baseless rumor now. But apparently he an interviewer walked up to his car one time and he said, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And he said, "I'm a gamer." Where is your head at then? Like everyone, I hope and I want to see him do well and improve under this new manager and this new regime. But I really don't see it at the moment with him. Like, I mean, when he's more interested in like dyeing a bit of his hair red, like that he is trying to get back into the start lineup, you know something isn't right up there. I mean, I get like the amount of abuse he must have been taking like for the last couple of years must be like harsh, like and harden him. And then, but at the same time, like a few other players in the squad have been taking that level of abuse, and they're already showing signs of improvement. I really don't know this guy anymore. Though I have a feeling his time here is close to done, if not done already.
Yeah, Craig said he played well for the first few games under Jose, but soon dropped off again. What do you think, Sam? I'm going to defend him slightly. He was literally 18 and then made a load of money and probably became a millionaire. And when you're that young, you don't really know what to do. It's probably easy to suddenly get a big head and think, oh, I am the greatest and everything like that. But at some point, you've got to grow up and realise that, I'm a footballer. That's what I do. And if like Adam says, I'm a gamer, that's true, then it just shows where his head is at. But do you think he can be trained into box-to-box midfielder? Do you think his head's gone? Do you think he's not really interested in football anymore? Where do you stand on the Dele situation?
I just don't think he's got the motivation. So when he was playing at that 16, 17 level, he was talked about. This is him. He's going to be the next big thing. Coming from MK Dons, we were wowing about him. Made the England squad. Being wowed about in the England squad. At the very start of his career with England, he was a box-to-box. If you remember, he was playing more of a box. He wasn't playing this hybrid number 10 stroke number 9 running. He was actually playing as a midfielder. I remember him scoring a really fantastic goal for England in his early days. Okay, what's happened is he stagnated. Maybe, potentially, that could be the money sort of thing. Something's got to him where he doesn't really think he has to now make that next level. You look at someone like Ronaldo, has everything in the world, everything, and probably will be able to make money just by, just appearing on adverts. He's still one of the best in the world. Why? Because he wants to be. He wants to be better. He wants to improve himself, even at 36, whatever he is now. Dele Alli's, 25? And it looks like
something like that.
He's already made his millions, as you said. I don't really know if I need to do this. I'm not going to get back into this England squad. There's players ahead of me. There's the likes of Jude Bellingham ahead of me, Calvin Phillips. You can go through the whole list. He's not making England squad anytime soon. Spurs, he can kind of, being paid 100 grand plus a week, I'm sure. If I play well, I might get in the team. If I don't play so well, I'm not so sure. When somebody like Jose comes out and says that you're not a very good trainer, the only way to judge a player is by how they train. How you train is how you play. If you don't train well, there's very, very few players in world football that then just translate that into worldies. Not very many. You just like Messi, Ronaldo, they train at their top level. Every player that plays them tells you that. hence the reason why they're the best in the world. So if you're not the best in the world, but you don't want to train hard, what are you going to get out of it? That's what we've got with Dele Alli. He's not going to be that player unless he decides he wants to be that player. But I think there's too many other things that he's now got. He's lost. He needs to go somewhere else, and maybe a mid-table Premiership team that needs a free role player that just does what he wants. That's him. He's a playground player for me. Give him a free role. He can do almost what he wants. You don't have to have as much responsibility around him. I think you could probably get a little bit more out of him, but not at Spurs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he needs someone like an Eriksen in the way that we play, who will drift and then that vacates space in the middle. Because for me, he's nowhere near good enough on the ball. He's far, far better off the ball.
Awful.
But yeah, I mean, he reminds me of Pogba so much. It looks like he cares more about sponsorship and things like that.
But look at Pogba's level of ability. Pogba's won World Cups. Pogba's won championships. He's levels above him. Levels. Yeah. So Pogba can, not to say that players should do that, but Pogba's not got a problem in going anywhere else in the world if he doesn't sign his contract with Man United. Dele Alli isn't got a choice of anywhere in the world. He's got very limited opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah. What I will say in slight defence in that documentary is it could have very well have been edited that he was laughing at a joke completely unrelated that Kane or someone made and they've edited it to. But the way he's playing, I'm not so sure. But I mean, can you imagine if Jose had said that to someone like a Kane? You're crap at training. Kane would never have slept for the next month. I'll bloody show you. And that's the dedication that, like you mentioned with the comparisons with Ronaldo, that's the difference. And
that's the difference.
It's just a real shame on how good he was in 16, 17 and how far he's fallen, and now it just looks like he's...
It happens, Chris. It happens to certain players, they get to... And again, we can't always look at the background and say he's had a bit of a hard upbringing. I get all of that sort of things, but sometimes it's just that player's desire. What do they want? Because, again, he doesn't have to worry about finances. Money's not something he has to worry about ever again in his life. So what's your desire as a football player? Right, I want to be the best I can be. He still has, if he wanted to be, a really good player. But I just don't know what his motivation is. What's his motivation now? As I said, he's not going to get into the England squad. He might not even get into the Spurs team. So I'm getting paid a lot of money. What do I need to do?
Yeah. You'd have hoped his motivation, seeing that the England team, in a final of the Euros, might have been, right, I want a piece of that for this World Cup. But it just doesn't look like it. It's a real shame. But last thing before we head off, we'll end on a positive. Is Conte's passion, Adam, rubbing off on the players? I don't know if you guys saw at the end, after the game with him on the pitch, high-fiving players, almost trying to snap their wrist off. Emerson, I loved the massive high. It wasn't a high five, was it? It was a sideways thing. And then he lifts Conte up, and he did it with every player. And that to me shows that winning mentality. That to me shows every single game is important. Every single win is worked for, and every single win matters as much as any other win. And that seems like the winning mentality. But the passion as well, I'm slightly worried for him. I think he needs to calm down a little bit. Every single game, he's really giving it all, shouting and screaming. He needs to have a sit down and chill out every now and then.
I was wondering the same thing today. That's such a coincidence, Chris. I was wondering the same thing today because I was like, hang on a second.
He's been doing it for 10 years. He's got to be careful. Right? But anyway, but it's so good to see that passion as opposed to Nuno, who just all the time. But that bit at the end with the players and they all responding to him, giving him the high fives and hugging him. Brilliant to see. But so do you think his passion and we have to win is now rubbing off on the players? I know it's early days, 3 games in, probably not even a month. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of that? It's got to be a positive, right? And we've got to see the fruits of that labour maybe in a few months' time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think his passion is rubbing off on them. I mean, they look invigorated when they play good, or they play a brilliant, and they look like they're going for it. I even saw it a bit against in his very first game for us, the Conference League. I know we conceded 2 goals after the first 26 minutes, but for those first 26 minutes, the team was invigorated. It was just pure Conte ball. And even against Everton, okay, we didn't score, didn't get a shot on target, but I could see the players even looked just a bit more more up for it than they would have been against Nuno. They seem to be walking around and making it rocket around less and look less bothered. Harry Kane is yet another example. like we mentioned earlier, he's looking better. Like he looks more motivated to actually get into his proper positions again. And I say like his passion is rubbing off on most of the players except for two who $1 million
Have we already
questions
spoken
goes to
about?
our.
Have we already spoken about them by chance?
No, we haven't.
Oh,
You
But I
haven't,
think
and I know
we've
what you're going to
mentioned them.
say.
We've
Yeah,
mentioned them.
mentioned
I think Sam knows. Yeah, Bergwijn
do.
and Doherty.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah, they look
Yep.
pissed. But in a way, like that could be interpreted as a good thing because they're pissed because they're like, we should have been out there. We wanted to show you what we can do. But I don't know. You never know with like modern footballers now. Like they could have
Well,
just been
it was a
sulky.
good thing when Mane got substituted for whoever at Liverpool, and then he stormed off, and Klopp was saying, "Well, and then he ended up scoring quite a few goals that season." But yeah,
I will say, okay. Can I answer some of this as well?
I was just gonna put this comment on. Dele's had his era. Time to usher in a new one. But yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So a couple of things on the Doherty thing. He's got a cheek, hasn't he? He's not really played that well, and he's got a cheek to think that why am I not playing? Stevie Bergwijn is a bit more of a case. Played really well for the Dutch over the international break. I can see why he's a little bit, seeing Lucas Moura play, and he's probably, in my opinion, a better player overall. Lucas Moura's got this 2/3 game. 2/3 of the stuff he does well. The final third bit is not quite great. Going back to the passion bit, if you look at the top managers in the division at the moment and where they are in the division, Pep Guardiola, Thomas Tuchel, Jurgen Klopp, all three of those guys you would want on the sideline. Very passionate when it comes to the game. It's no coincidence they're the top three teams. We've got a manager in Conte who's won, as I said, 5 leagues in 7 years. Why? Because he shows what it's about on the sidelines. When he needs to, he's berating players. He's coaching them. I saw the game yesterday. Even from the first minute, he's dragging these players through. He makes tactical changes. He does everything to wring out. So he shows them, if I'm prepared to do this and I'm not even playing, you have no excuse. You have no excuse not to try. That's what I say about Pep Guardiola. That's what I say about Thomas Tuchel. That's what I say about Jurgen Klopp. If you see that on the sideline as a player, you can't then say, oh, well, the manager don't really care. Nuno looked like he didn't care. So what are you going to think? If you see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you turn around, he's there doing that. What are you going to get out of any player, motivational-wise? You can't, unless you're just walking through games and winning them. This is a difference maker. We've got a difference maker. Second half showed this is the difference between Nuno and Conte. I can change it tactically, and I can motivate you to play 5, 10, 15% better than you did 5-15 minutes ago when half-time went. So that, for me, it's a no-brainer that he's going to rub off on these players. A no-brainer.
I mean, you said it there with the tactical, and I loved as well the egging the fans on in the end to just cheer the players on. I didn't get that under Nuno at all. But you said it yourself there, Sam, in changing it tactically. I don't have a problem generally with the managers getting it wrong at the start, because every single manager in history and every single manager in the future will get their team selection, tactics, both wrong. It's how you deal with it. And Nuno didn't change anything. That Palace game, I cannot understand that. We didn't have any shots, and he only makes 2 subs, and they're all enforced. No one gave him the memo that you're allowed to make 3. And Conte's obviously changed something at half time, whether it's just like telling the players a few home truths. But that's where managers earn their real crust. We could pick a team and tactics that do well and kill a team off in the first half. It's when things aren't going well and you have to change it. That's where managers earn their crust, and he's proved time and time again that he can do that. And like you said, game changer, isn't he? And it's that bit at the end of the game. To me, just it was just the winning mentality. Every single game, whether it's against a non-league team in the FA Cup, whether it's against the top of the league in the Premier League, every single game is important. Every single game we have to win, and every single game a win is that important. And
it's the old cliche: you're only as good as your last game. It's so true. You've got to, winning mentality has to be bred. It has to come through. So even if you're playing a game where you're thinking it doesn't really matter, show the attitude to win that game. This is why teams like Manchester City win the League Cup, because they don't care that it's the League Cup. They don't need to win the League Cup for their finances. They don't need to win the League Cup to make them a better team. They want to win Champions League. But the fact that they want to win every single game they play is the reason why they win the League Cup. season in, season out. FA Cup's the same sort of thing. These players have to have the mentality to win. And it doesn't matter you're playing against Farmers in terms of NS Mura or Vitesse or wherever it is in the USL that we're playing. You should be wanting to win, because what that does, it breeds success. Right, we've won that game. I'm now in a position to have the shirt. Who's going to come in and take it off me? If nobody's like bothered, and you like Doherty comes on, I'm not really bothered about playing against Mura on Thursday and plays shockingly bad. Who do you think's going to put him in against anybody at the weekend against Burnley? It ain't going to happen. So your attitude, your mentality is shown by when you go out on the pitch. What do you do, regardless of your position? This is what I think Conte will prove to players. If you don't do this, see you later. See you later.
Absolutely, pretty much exactly what Simply A says. Won't take any rubbish from anyone.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you look up the definition, no bullshit in the dictionary, his face will just be plastered up next to it. Like.
Probably screaming like he normally does. I did a stadium tour not that long ago. I did a stadium tour not that long ago, and his seat it's a heated seat. I don't know why. He never sits in the bloody thing. There's no point. But yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen improvement in these 3 games. So, Everton, where we were under the cosh, which under Nuno we would have conceded the goal. We rode that out, could have nicked it. This game, not at the races, changes at half time, completely different team, go and win the game. But yeah, I'm really excited for Tottenham now. And then we've got Burnley now, and I think Brentford and then Norwich really should be looking at 9 points out.
And then I think Liverpool after that. I think Liverpool's the next game.
That will be the real test. We've just got to make sure we get those 9 out of 9 before that game, and then see what we can do against Liverpool. And by then, hopefully, there's no international break. All the international players will have hopefully got up to speed with his fitness and tactics and what have you. And then we'll kind of be seeing not a different team, but a much more united team. But yeah. I've pretty much reached the end there. There's not too much else to talk about.
There isn't. You've done a lot. You've done enough, Chris.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, great having you guys on. Before we do go as well, actually, I want to say, and people call me sad for this, but I don't care. I'm firmly in David Gino's corner in I'm a Celebrity. He's the only one who should be winning that. Absolute legend.
Yes.
And Newcastle fans, Metro and UFC is on here as well. Jay, I'm sure he's in his corner as well. But
big up, Jay.
Yeah, and great having you 2 guys on. Like I said, Brian Daigle, Mr. K, hope you get well soon. But before you go, Adam, where can people find you on Twitter? And you got called a stream slapper or something yesterday because you appealed.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, say what you want about the name, like, but it's the truth. Like, I can't dispute that. Like it was like, if you want to find me on Twitter, like, just type in Adam C 7608, like, and you should like get me up there, like thanks Simply Ace. It's like, also, again, to reiterate, if you want to find me on YouTube, like, you could find me on most, if not all, now the Tottenham fan channels at this stage. Like, I try to, get on and show my support to as many as I can. And, like, there are a couple that I need to start showing more support to, like, really. But, like, I mean, in, like, college work and all that, like, and, like, workplace and stuff, of like, it does get in the way sadly at times, but look, that's just the way it goes. Also, if you want to see me, like, physically, want to see this ugly mug, I don't know why you would, but anyway, come here, of course, like, or like this great channel, like, and like hope it like gets bigger and better. Go to Spurs UHN TV, like, every Sunday. They go to Premier Hotspur TV most of the time after like the games, like, unless I'm too busy. Go to Irish Hotspur stream, like, every once in a while. Like, you definitely see me in the chat there anyway. Anyway, go even like on We Are Tottenham TV, like, you'll find me in the chat there, like every so often. So yeah, I do as much as I can, like.
Yeah, a huge appreciation to you, not just from me, but from pretty much every Spurs streamer. You're literally on every channel.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Also, I forgot to mention Tottenham Tour, regular panelist, and hopefully, hopefully, like, if everything goes smoothly with my college lecture, like I'll be more than just that. Like I'll be working under Brian Ireland now, and now hopefully very shortly, if all goes well. So fingers crossed. As you were saying, Chris.
Yeah, just huge appreciation when you're not on a stream. You're always in the chat and then helping the channels and getting involved. So yeah, big appreciation, not just from me, but from every streamer. And Sam, Paxton Road TV, where can people find that? And I mean, obviously your Twitter handle's there as well. I was going to ask what your Twitter handle is. It's in your face. But yeah, Paxton Road TV, where can people find that if they've been living under some kind of rock and don't?
Well, first things first, make sure, viewers, you smash a like on this actual stream now. Subscribe to this channel. Fantastic. Always a pleasure doing stuff with you, Chris, as you know. So make sure everybody, viewers, watching, smash a like, subscribe, all the rest of it. Paxton Road TV, obviously you can find us on YouTube. All the details just down below in terms of the name, Twitter handle. You can find me at Sam_Spurs for life. And yeah, Paxton Road on YouTube. You can find us also on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter, but you can also find us on Spotify as well, Anchor, Twitch. You know, we're trying to just get out as much as we can, doing as much of this content. It's one of the most enjoyable things, obviously, watching football. I know sometimes it can be not so enjoyable as being Spurs fans, but it's a pleasure doing these sort of things. It's a pleasure coming on and just talking football, even if it's like a bit of a moan. It's just it's therapeutic. So it
absolutely is.
Yeah, amen to that.
I literally started this channel just because all my friends and family were like, just shut up about Spurs. And fine, I'll do it on here. They'll tell me to shut up.
Exactly.
Yeah, cheers, guys, so much. Always welcome on. Always great having you on. And I've been on a Paxton Road TV a fair few times. Always great fun going on there as well. Yeah, so make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe here, click the notification bell, and you'll get notified when we're going live. And then go into Adam's Twitter handle, find out where he is, hit the like on that channel, and then go on to Sam's, hit Paxton, or just go on to Paxton Road and hit like and subscribe on there as well. And then when you've done all of that, make sure you get on the phone, vote David in, vote everyone else out, and let him be the king of the jungle.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks, Mr. Spurs. Mr. Spurs should be back, should be on here for the first time on Monday. And always great being part of the streamers, and the Spurs community is the best community in the world, certainly on YouTube. But we'll be back on Friday, and keep getting all these comments in. I love all the comments. Thank you so much, guys. As the song goes, it can only get better, and let's hope so. And then we can really go forward with content. Yeah, until we'll be back on Friday. It was 10:30 last Friday. It's back to normality this Friday, 12:30. We're looking forward to the Burnley game. Talking a little bit about I think it's Mura that we've got on Thursday, and then back on Monday, talking about the Burnley game, hopefully 6 points out of 6, and the Spurs go marching on. So until then, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you so much for watching, for everybody who participated in the live chat and added comments. Before you go, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Anybody who couldn't watch the live video, you can still catch us on YouTube. Add any comments, suggestions or questions to the comments section on the video. Anybody who's listened to the audio-only podcast, thank you so much for listening. Anybody who wants the audio-only podcast, you get this wherever you get your podcast from. Alternatively, if you go to Twitter, at Talk Tottenham, you'll find all the information there. We'll be back soon. We're live Mondays, 8 p.m, Fridays, 12:30 UK time. Until then, come on, you Spurs!